Over the years, I've developed a system of intensive, short-term training for situations just like this. I call it Quicksilver.
There's a place in this town where kids learn the wrong things.
Stack of dimes.
A place where they keep a vicious secret.
Stack of dimes.
A place controlled by people who profit from pain.
Stack of dimes.
Now, this town's vicious secret is exposed. There's only one thing to do. Get ready for
Stack of dimes. Stack of dimes. Stack of dimes. Stack of dimes.
Stack of dimes. We are the podcast that never makes varsity. We're always just JV, junior varsity every goddamn time. But you all know it because you know what kind of podcast this is. You're like, fuck, you even make JV? You're just not stuck on the freshman team?
There's a lower rung than JV, right?
In high school, it's the freshman team. Yeah, it's the freshman team.
Okay.
Typically.
Yeah.
That's what it was at my high school. And anything else, then it's outside of maybe we had the LSJAA, the Lake Stevens Junior Athletic Association. So if you were really shitty,
yeah,
you went back to the LSJAA, which used to be for elementary kids. So, because, elementary schools usually don't have teams. So you go and play the LSJAA shit. And then when you get to middle school, you either make JV or varsity. And if you don't there, you can still play LSJAA, but it's kind of a sad deal at that point. It's
or you're
pack it up, motherfucker.
Yeah. Or you're like my kid and you're on the school team and you're also on the select team in your city. And so you're just doing sports 24/7.
Yeah.
That's what your parents' life becomes as well.
Yeah. So that's kind of why we're talking about this. Hi, everyone. I know it's been a while. Sorry. Vacations, this, that, the other thing. Life gets in the way. Case in point.
Sports
for you. Sports for John. You guys are finally getting, or JD, I should say. You guys are finally getting right into the thick of it now, right?
Dude. Now we're switching it up. Like it used to be just basketball, but there's a lot of basketball. But luckily now the basketball season has ended for school, but now track season has started. So now we're doing track and basketball.
So
yeah,
I text John a couple days ago. Maybe it was like last night.
JD, you mean? Who's John?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Everyone knows who John is. It's JD. JD. Jesus Christ. I texted him to see if he wanted to record this week. He couldn't because he's like in Scottsdale for a cheering.
Oh my God, he's doing that.
I think he said cheer, some sort of conference or something for actually, I mean, I've got it right here. I can tell you exactly what he said. So you guys both stuck in. I'm in Salt Lake City for Ruby's gymnastic regionals until Sunday. So exciting. 16 hours of sitting on bleachers to watch 50 seconds of cartwheels.
Yeah, dude.
And I just sent back yikes.
Yep. I'm glad we did not stick with gymnastics because that's where we would probably be right now.
Did I say cheer? That was gymnastics.
You said cheer.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
But gymnastics leads to cheer.
That kind of cheer that's going on now, where you're tossing people up in the air and doing dipsy doos. That's you're right. It's basically gymnastics.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But we're lucky. We're lucky we got out of the gymnastic and into like school, middle school sports. Because if we weren't in that right now, what we would be doing would probably be the traveling for these big gymnastics conferences and stuff, which is absolutely insane.
Okay, this is gonna get. I don't mean to be like this. Shit's a racket. A ton of this shit is a fucking racket, right?
It's total racket, dude. Total racket. Because you're playing what it is. What I've figured out, and I've seen this with a lot of families, is you have a lot of people, a lot of parents and a lot of kids that are convinced that they are going to be the next Caitlin Clark.
Right.
Right. And they are just going, and this is for, you know, girls teams, obviously, but like they are just so uber involved in every, like so many sports, and keeping these kids fucking just gunning for something that's so unattainable.
So
like, and such a crapshoot, you know, some future, like, you know, stardom plans that, you know, may never materialize. It's wacky. Dude.
So it's interesting that you mentioned this, but then what is the answer when your kid thinks that, like, what, like, you kind of have to go with it, right? And give him a shot. Like what goes on in your brain here? Because you know, your daughter's pretty good at basketball, right? Like she's on a select team.
She's gotten really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Is it basically like at the very least, maybe I get some of my college paid for? Is that what, like?
God, that would be fantastic. But I am not banking on any of that shit, because that stuff. I mean, you get to that level, like college level, it is so competitive, man. Like even like high school. High school is going to be a fully different game for my daughter.
Yeah, this is funny that you mentioned this stuff too, because the accessibility now to, you know, hire like ex-professional trainers.
Yeah.
And like you said, select teams, teams you can buy into, not just high school or junior high teams.
Yeah.
That the competition now has got to be just fucking bananas.
It is. It's completely bananas. And it's so out of whack too. Like there are kids like on my daughter's teams that are constantly hurt too. Like already, right? These girls are fucking 8th grade. Mm-hmm. They are 8th graders and they are constantly having injuries. And it's like,
pushing too hard.
Could this be too much? Mm-hmm. Maybe. Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm. Right. Like we're watching 8th graders like with fucking knee injuries, like serious knee injuries already. Like, you know, be on waiting lists and everything like that because they've got to get better before they can play again. But like, what? Oh my God!
Did you do any? Did you do anything in high school?
I was a swimmer. I made the swim team in high school. I had been on swim teams. I had been on like, you know,
you told
our
us
local like swim teams and stuff like that for like,
I think you
know,
told a
kids
story
swim teams and stuff
about being on the swim team here on the show once about something about your Speedos or something.
Oh my God, dude. They had me. So I joined late because they needed somebody and I was at the pool all the time anyway, cause I worked there. So I worked there after school. I taught swimming lessons, and then I was on the swim team eventually too. I was only on it for like probably a couple months, because I could swim really fast for a very short period of time.
You couldn't do the whole.
I could not, and they kept on putting me on like 400s.
What does that mean?
That means like so down one length of the pool is 25 yards.
Okay.
So 400 yards, you know, that's
you go down and back,
down and back, down and back, down and back, down and back.
Good God.
Back. So, yeah, dude, they had me on these fucking, like I could do 50. I could do the 50 freestyle. I was really fucking good at that. And I'm still really good at that. Like I am a very fast crawl stroke. Very fast crawl stroke. And I barely kick. And like, and man, I was so fucking bad at it. Like I remember almost vomiting in the pool at the end of my race and like getting up and getting like so dizzy and like, you know, out of breath, you know, and I'm looking around and everybody else is already out of the pool. Like I finished fucking super last.
When was this? How old were you?
Oh God, that was like senior year.
Okay.
Thinking, yeah.
So you were smoking.
Probably,
you were smoking by that.
Oh yeah,
time.
I was fucking heavy, pack a day, fucking cigarettes, dude. It's the worst. It's the worst. But the other that story that I told you, I don't know if I told. Did I tell this?
I think that's why I know you're a swimmer because I think you told You told a story
So
about
they
someone
put me in this fucking Speedo that was like, may have been 2 sizes too small. And I was just, I mean, I've never been I was super slim in college, but I was not super slim in high school. And this thing, man, made my muffin top, like it exacerbated my muffin top, right? So it's just, everything's like hanging over, and they never got me a new size. But I had to wear it because it had the fucking logo on it.
Oh,
It
Christ.
had the school logo on it. So, yeah. Oh, God. It was just a series of embarrassments.
And it
with
sounds
with
like you
high school
you didn't
sports.
take it serious, right? Like that was the problem with me. Like,
I tried to, but man, I was just at that pool so much. Like, it was just, I just felt gross, dude. I couldn't be in that fucking water anymore, you know?
I just was never that competitive. That was my problem.
That's the other
I
thing,
always
yeah.
worried about people were watching me. I didn't like to be the center of attention.
No, yeah.
And I told you I played basketball, and I did. The first thing I ever did was t-ball when I was like 5, and I knew after the first season, my mom was like, "Do you want to do it again next year?" I was like, "Nope." Like, no, I don't, because with that shit, you're standing around in the outfield. That's why they talk about kids like picking daisies while they're sitting out there,
Right.
Because it's like with baseball, you don't do anything half the time. And then when it happens, you're like, fuck, like, and you don't do it enough.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really into it. So I was like, I'm done with that. And then I told the story on the show before that when I got into middle school, it's like we had 3 elementary schools that combined at the middle school. So now you've got
a massive amount of kids.
You knew all
Huge
of the
school.
You kue all the good athletes at your school.
Right.
Your Sarikas, your Rummelharts, like you knew the guys, your Mowers, your Bundys. You knew all the guys that at your elementary school that were good athletes.
Right.
And then you get the other ones from the other schools, and then you're just like, well, fuck, I'm screwed.
You're out.
I'm screwed.
Yeah.
But even then, I felt the peer pressure, so I was like, oh, fuck, we're all playing basketball? Like, you guys are playing basketball? Looks like I'm playing basketball. Oh, we're wrestling now? Okay, I'll wrestle.
Yeah.
And in middle school, at least in Lake Stevens, because typically wrestling and basketball happen at the same time.
What a weird sport.
Wrestling?
For especially for like high school age stuff.
The weirdest shit. And I say that like,
It's so odd because especially in high school, kids, especially men,
yes,
are so fearful. Back in the day, especially like being just that close to another dude's nuts
yes,
or buttholes,
yes.
and just so uncomfortable with their own sexuality and stuff. It feels so odd that you'd get into a singlet,
Yep.
and fucking just take a guy to the floor.
Well, if you do get your nose by the nuts, they're wearing a cup, so
Yes,
you've got a barrier.
Sure. Yeah.
But and in fact,
But what a strange, because wrestling does not like, it's not like we all sit down on Fridays in the fall and watch wrestling.
right.
You know?
That's what was bizarre about it. And the crazy thing is, in Lake Stevens where I went, and I think it's still the same, it's one of the sports that we were really, really good at. Lake Stevens, like Cedral Woolley was really good wrestling. It was just a thing in Lake Stevens. So when everyone started doing it, I was like, well, fuck, I guess I'm doing this. Keeping in mind, nobody, like, where do you go and do wrestling outside of high schools or junior high unless you are seeking it out? And this is, we're talking
double A colleges.
we're talking, well, I know, but I mean, I'm talking like when you're young, like, like LSJAA. I don't think they had a wrestling program that I could, you could go and play Little League baseball, Little League basketball, Little League football. But I didn't know there was anything like Little League wrestling back then.
There's gotta be,
probably
though.
was, but like, and so when all my friends started doing it, I was like, well, fuck, I guess I better do this too.
Yeah.
And it was very weird, dude. And I've talked about it on the show before. And someone who later went into kickboxing and boxing, like, was a direct result of, I liked the one-on-one aspect of that sport of like wrestling, but I hated wrestling guys.
Oh yeah.
And I even had to wrestle. There was a girl that was wrestling in our school that was in my weight class, and I had to wrestle her as well. But even that sucked because you'd get in these weird. I mean, dude, I think I maybe had kissed one girl at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm getting like I'm putting my chin in between her tits.
Yeah.
To pin her, right? And she's going. She would always give me these talks too. There's like 3 of us that were wrestling. Chris Pratt, who is his brother Cully Pratt.
Right.
I've told this before. At least in 8th grade, we were the same weight, and so me and him, we would all the Blaine Beecham and him, we were all the same weight. So you'd have a wrestle off to see who makes varsity and who makes JV.
Right.
And Cully beat us, like handily beat everybody, right? So, so we were down in JV, and this girl.
You think he still thinks of that?
Who?
Like on a daily basis? Cully? Pratt? Yeah.
No.
He's like, I killed.
He was
in 8th grade.
Well, first of all, he killed all the way through high school. He was a really good athlete.
Yeah.
And like really popular. Really, that's why.
And now his little brother is one of the most famous people on the planet.
Yeah,
nobody knows who Cully Pratt is.
I think he's like he was like a cop in like Northern California or something. And Cully, yeah. And
so they're no longer Lake Stevens.
No.
Boys.
Yeah, he moved out. He moved out right after we graduated, and he was gone. Like I haven't seen or talked to Cully. And I always liked Cully. I knew him pretty well. We went to Wild Waves together. But he was a really good wrestler. He'd kick our ass. And then I was on the JV team, and I swear for like maybe a month, this girl decided she wanted to wrestle. And I don't mean to say this, but at the time, it very much, even like as a kid, I was like, she's kind of doing this for attention.
Yeah.
Because it was one of these things. There was no other female wrestlers. I don't even think in our district there was another female wrestler. So it was always a big thing. I watched her wrestle a kid, beat him, and the kid go bawling off the mat and slam through the gym doors, just like slam through it, like was so pissed off that he just lost to a girl. Like, who gives a shit? But you can imagine 8th grade in 1990 or whenever this was.
Yeah.
So I did that shit until high school and then realized, wait a minute. Then finally got to a point where I was like, why do I give a shit what other people think? I don't want to do this shit anymore. And so I stopped doing it in high school.
Yeah.
And I actually stopped doing, and I've talked about this on the show before, I stopped doing high school sports because of the wrestling coach who found out that I didn't make the basketball team because in high school they're at the same time.
Yeah.
And he basically was like, okay, you didn't make it, so now you're going to wrestle, right? And I said, yeah, I don't think so, man. I'm going to do like some other league basketball. And if I remember correctly, he said something to the effect of, well, you'll be a fucking loser if you don't. And that to me was like, I'm not doing anything for you. And he was like one of the best wrestling coaches in the state at that time.
Yeah.
But the way I was like, I don't need this shit. You're a goddamn adult. You don't need to be fucking talking to me this way. I'm a kid. Yeah. I mean, I'm 15 or whatever. Like, and so done. I started kickboxing after that.
Jesus.
Was done. I wish I would have done tennis or golf.
Yeah.
And these were considered like dork sports.
Yeah.
But Newman always played tennis and golf, and Dykstra did it, and it sounded like it was the best time in the world because you're just hanging out with your buddies, more or less, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I don't know why I didn't do that shit. And that's the other thing I heard, that if you have I don't know if this is true anymore. A couple of years ago, the easiest way for a female athlete to get a scholarship is golf, because there's so many unused scholarships that go. That
they
happen
just float off into the ether because nobody's using them. Because
there's not enough.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be that good. I read an article that was like, just give your daughter some golf lessons, and then just I don't know if that's true anymore, but
God, that's interesting. I don't know. I wish I would have done something like that too. I think I probably could have been a decent golfer.
I think I could have too.
Yeah.
And my first job was at a golf course. I had no interest in fucking.
Yeah.
I maybe golfed like 3 or 4 times. I could golf for free, all I wanted.
Yeah, dude. So in general, I've found that children's sports are pretty off-putting. Like just the competitiveness that's out there with just stuff that just doesn't really matter. You know? Like it's really off-putting to me.
Yeah.
Like you run across these parents that are they're so fucking, like their whole life is wrapped into their kid doing good, at the whatever sport they're in. And if they're not, they're just like, they're sitting on the bench. They're just like, Jesus Christ, can you fucking believe this?
Yeah.
You fucking believe, this fucking ref and stuff, and like, you're just stuck going, wow, man. Like there are a lot of other shit out there. Your kid's gonna have a real long life full of all sorts of different stuff. If you're putting all your eggs in this basket, I got news for you.
Yeah.
Like and it's just, man, it's kind of crazy.
I've gone and watched my niece and nephew.
Yeah.
My niece, she does I don't know if she does soccer anymore, but she does volleyball now. I don't know but I've watched her play soccer, do volleyball. She's pretty young. But my nephew, I think he's in like select baseball, and I think he's like 12 maybe or 13. So I don't think he's quite in middle school yet, but and he's getting really good. He does this shit like we're gonna go down to Vancouver and watch him in a tournament. I watched him in a tournament over in Mercer Island like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and they're good for their age. Like I think it was 12 is what it is. But you're so right, and it's so bizarre to watch.
Yeah,
these adults watching kids, and they have like zero self-awareness. But then I look around and I go, you don't really have to, because they're kind of all the same.
They're all the same,
especially on that level, right?
Yeah,
and you're just like,
yeah.
And the thing I always hate for me was when the Little League World Series became a thing on TV. They play it on like ESPN 4 now or whatever the fuck. It might even be on ESPN proper. And I remember the first time watching it, it really bothered me that you had these kids that are like 11 and 12 mimicking the exact same shit that major league players do. And I just think to myself, like, they're just copying these weird OCD fucking tics that all of these major league baseball players do.
Yeah, because they think that's what you do.
They think that's what you do, and it's been handed down from and now.
Well, like, it's like these stupid. Oh God, this fucking drives me crazy too. Because I've got my cousin's son is on a baseball team. He plays a ton of sports and stuff, and they're those type of people too, where like they put a lot of emphasis on sports.
Yeah,
not enough emphasis on math. Right.
Right.
And
the American way, dude.
Yeah. But this kid, he fucking just paints his whole face with these black, these under eye things, That's basically, it's supposed to, like, in an arena, supposed to absorb the light from the arena lights so it doesn't shine into your eyes.
It has nothing to do with the sun.
Has nothing to do with sweat. Has nothing to do with anything else.
I thought it was the sun. That's the other reason.
Yeah, or the sun. Yeah.
But
in a stadium setting, right?
Yes. Right.
And like, really, it actually doesn't do anything. It's just people have been doing it forever.
Correct. Yeah.
And so these kids now have like these big swipes of like black because now it's become this thing where it's like, the major leaguers are like, they're just putting it on with like 3 fingers instead of one.
I've seen crosses
and stuff like that. They're all wearing big fucking gold chains and those stupid fucking giant Viper sunglasses.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, I've never wanted to hit a kid so much.
Yeah,
especially one that I'm related to.
The other thing too is they'll grow their hair long now,
my God.
So they can get it pushing back out of their hat, especially the guys that are pitching. And I'm just like, I mean, but look, I probably did as dorky of stuff as a kid. Like
we all wore.
You have to stop yourself.
We all had braided belts that were way too long.
Yep. Yep. I have to sit and think to myself and just be like, okay, they're just kids, or
right.
You were a knucklehead like that too. But there is a part of me that's just kind of like, God, man,
the parents need to step in.
This sucks. Well, and talking about, like, okay. So back in the day for me, it would be like you'd get on one of the high school teams, and that was pretty much it. And when the season was over, you may or may not try out or make it again the next
It was
year
very
or
few
whatever.
and far between back in the 80s, early 90s, if you were on, like, there was a select few kids that were really, really good at the sport, naturally good at the sport, that then were doing kind of these private lessons and like had private coaches and shit like that.
Yeah, but even because one of the guys I was talking about, Bundy, he made it. He played college ball at UW, and was drafted by
minor league
that I went to high school with, drafted by the Blue Jays.
Oh, I thought it was minors.
He was, so he made it through the minor league for the Blue Jays, and eventually,
gotcha.
I think made his way to the Mariners, but he never, made it to the big show, as they say. Or whatever.
Right.
And I still talk with him today, and I was telling him that, hey, I'm going to be down. He lives, I think, in Bend, Oregon now. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I'm going to be down your way for a tournament down there with my nephew. And he was like, oh, fuck. He's like, it's such a racket. He's like, we've got facilities here with just 8 fucking diamonds. And all it is, like, all weekend long is just kids playing baseball, going through all these various leagues. I was talking to my brother about, like, one of the teams he was playing. He said, yeah, it costs like $4,000 to if your kid is good enough to make the team, then it costs like $4,000 to be on the teams. Like, and for what? Like you're saying, like, maybe if you're lucky, some of your school will be paid for.
Yeah.
Depending on where you go.
Right.
But beyond that, like, because then that's what I was trying to tell my nephew when he was really young. I was like, hey, dude, baseball's like one of the hardest to, I mean, they're all hard, but because you get into the minors and you can be stuck there not making any money at all.
Yeah.
And just grinding it out.
$30,000 a year.
And just maybe. And just never fucking make it.
Yeah.
And then you end up being one of these guys.
Well, and that's the thing too.
Who trains the kids to do this fucking what you failed at. Like, no offense, but.
Right. You work for that league.
Yeah.
That's just like you tuck in your shirt into your black fucking Z Cavaricis and you go teach some fucking 5 and 10-year-olds how to hit a T-ball.
And this guy that I know didn't go that route.
Yeah.
But I know a couple of his buddies when he was in college with, and they kind of went on to the minors as well, or close to it. Mm-hmm. I know that they've been doing basically like private lessons for kids. Yeah. And it's okay, it's cool, it's making a living or whatever, but it also is kind of, I don't know, man, it's kind of
especially
gross.
in those situations.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, it is gross. And it's like in those situations too, you just want to go up to the parent and you go shake them a little bit and go, you are one of 800,000 other kids that are coming through here this weekend.
Yeah.
What makes your kid so good?
Yeah.
Right? Or so special, right? Yeah. I don't know.
No, I mean,
we're not in that boat yet.
Yeah.
Like,
well, this is why
I haven't hit the delusional stage yet. I don't know.
No, but you might get to a point though that where you're gonna have to make some decisions, right? Like, because if any of your kids are good enough, and they're gonna really want to pursue it, and that's
she already does want to.
I know. I'm very well.
I mean, it's all it is all consuming.
Yeah.
Of her,
like anything when you're that age, right? Like whatever your one thing is.
She is full on obsessed with basketball.
Yep.
And which is great. I mean, at her age, I was beginning to be full on obsessed with marijuana. It's basketball is a very good thing to be full on obsessed.
Obsessed with making movies with my PXL 2000 camcorder
yeah,
from
right.
Fisher Price
Yeah.
and playing my TurboGrafx 16. So that was what was all consuming for me.
Yes. Yeah.
And look where that got me. I'm an amazing director and screenwwriter. And it got me a podcast. And I went
There
to
you
radio.
go. That we
it's like, so,
maybe get to once every couple months.
yeah.
My dad said
real pro.
something pretty funny to me the other day. Or actually, it wasn't the other day. It was a few months back. But he goes, man, I'm just so glad that you and your brother didn't get into sports, like, because he sees what we're doing like every weekend now, you know, and he's just like, your mom and I talked about this relentlessly because my aunt and uncle, right, did it with my cousins who are now doing it with their kids, right, who put just so much emphasis on sports, right, and not enough emphasis on anything else. And yeah, I mean, they loved it though. Like, I was even talking to my aunt the other day, like they were constantly going from, we lived out on the Kitsap Peninsula, and they would have to go from Kitsap over to like Yakima for a weekend, on a school week too, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're going out to Yakima for some sort of tournament or some sort of game or wrestling match, which my other cousin was really into. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And I was like, why? How?
Yeah.
Why? What? What is there to love about that? I don't understand. I mean, yeah,
They're super competitive. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
Yep.
that's like I said, at one point I realized, I'm like, I just don't care. I just don't.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
care to be the best in my weight class.
Yeah.
At this fucking weird thing. And so I was done.
Yeah.
But even to think about back then, the idea, I mean, I don't know what year was that for you? That would
have been, that when my cousins were doing that shit?
Yeah, when your cousins were doing that shit.
Oh, God, that was from fucking elementary school on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a lot of that stuff going on. Like, I just remembered, like I said, I had friends that were either on the varsity team and they were really good. That was it. But I was unaware if they were going off to like baseball camps or going into other leagues during the off season and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the same big business that it was now.
No, yeah.
So
now it's everybody's, it's like, it's selling the delusion.
And can you name anybody from your school that you can remember that made it into
Any type of professional sport?
especially with the major sports? Your
No,
basketball, football, baseball.
Not one.
That was the only. I had a handful of guys that I knew that went and played college on some level.
Yeah.
Bundy being one of them. There's a couple other guys in baseball that went on to other things.
My cousin wrestled in college.
Okay,
He got a scholarship out at Missoula.
I'm sure there were several, probably from Lake Stevens, that did that as well. I knew someone that went and played like whatever league, whatever college football that Western Washington University used to have.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
they don't. I don't think they have a football team anymore. But they would play like Central and Eastern.
Yeah.
And that shit.
Yeah.
He went on and he was like one of our better football players. That's as far as he made it was.
Yeah.
And good on him. I think, he's still got, like, I think he had somewhat of a scholarship from it or whatever at the time.
Yeah, sure.
But like, I don't know, even through the 4 years on either side of me, I couldn't name anybody that went on and made it in like professional sports. That's like, I can say that I know somebody who's a major actor, like a star, like literally a star for. I mean, his star isn't as bright as it used to be, but like for a while there, he was the man, right? Like in Hollywood.
Dude, I think if he's still pretty.
He's still
pretty fucking up there.
And so, how hard is that? I know that before I know a professional
athlete. Yeah. Yeah.
It just is bizarre to me.
Right. Right.
And like the high school over, you had You have what's her name, who's married to John Legend or whatever. What's her name?
Teigen, Chrissy Teigen.
Yeah, she went to Snohomish. That was down the street.
Oh, I didn't know she was a
You've
Washington
got Anna Faris
lady?
or whatever that he was that Pratt was married to. She was like in like Edmonds or whatever.
Right?
Yeah, Meadowdale or some bullshit
Yeah.
like that. Like I know more people like that than actual professional athletes of any sort.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking like I don't even know a fucking professional bowler. You know, like you'd think, you know.
Yeah.
But that's how fucking hard that shit is. It's just insanely hard.
Yeah,
but
it is. You're right. It's a total racket what they're doing with these kids too.
Well, and the tools that are available. Like I was talking with my brother, who's like his son is the guy, the kid I'm talking about that's playing baseball. I said, do you remember when we were kids? And my older brother, surprise, surprise, was into baseball and played baseball throughout high school, baseball and football. So, and I said to him, like, what bullshit was out there for you when you were his age? And he was like, you could order a video cassette tape. That if you were on ESPN and you were watching baseball, every now and then they would show this like videotape where it was like, I forget who the X major player was, but it would show you the proper form of swinging the bat and throwing the baseball, getting a ground ball, crow hop throw and shit like that. And this cassette tape commercial would run all the fucking time. Now you just go to YouTube or you go sign up for whatever myriad of websites that are like how to fucking hit like a pro and, all these various pieces of equipment that can build you. It's like, it's fucking nuts.
So these tournaments that we go to now for basketball, like they're all over. We haven't had to go super far out, although we've got one in Yakima, Mother's Day weekend.
So next weekend? Is that
next weekend?
I think
is that
so.
next weekend?
I think so.
It is.
You want to record next weekend?
And
I think it's next weekend.
And so these things are like, they cost $10, even though your kid's playing in it, right? So you have to pay up front to get in, right? And then it's just in these gyms that are just like, they usually have them in really big gyms so they can have multiple games going on all at once. So there's like literally 3 games going on in one gym, maybe separated by a divider sometimes, but most of the times it's just separated just by people sitting on the sidelines. And so there's so many whistles going off all the time that sometimes like when we first started going to these things, like the kids couldn't even tell the difference, like what ref is whistling at what game, right? So people would just stop. Sometimes fucking other errant basketballs are like coming onto your court, from other games going on and stuff. And it's just absolute chaos. It's absolute chaos. But they sell like, you can like make a t-shirt there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can like they sell like a blank t-shirt, but then they'll have like logos that they can press onto it and just stuff right there. It's weird, dude.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. It's a real weird thing.
And it used to be sort of like, oh, you learn how to work with people and
hey, I will say my kid is learning a shit ton.
And okay, that's what I wonder. Like, is that still?
Oh
do you think it's still useful in that sort of capacity?
I think for the right kind of kid, yes. Like, and we do see there's quite a few like girls' sports less so, but you see it on because we'll get there early, right, so that she can shoot around and practice with her team, meet up with her coach and stuff like that. And we'll get there while like some of these boys teams are playing. Yeah. And they are just playing for themselves. Yeah. Like every single one of these fucking boys teams full of Allen Iversons, right? Or Dennis Rodmans. They're just there.
I love how outdated your references
I know,
are.
right? Yeah.
Full of Sean Kemps.
Full of Sean Kemp Rainmans.
John Stockton.
Just a bunch of fucking Stocktons out there.
Yeah.
It's a bunch
Tony
of
Koo coaches.
Just a bunch of fucking Peytons.
Yeah.
And But literally, it's just guys that think they are such hot shit. And granted, they are very good.
Yeah.
Like, they're very good at what they're doing out there. But man, they are just playing one man fucking basketball. There is no team about it, right? And it's just infuriating because like they're so cocky and just such dick bags on these courts, dude.
Yeah.
And but I will say, like, for the right type of kid, like I think my kid is learning a lot out there and stuff, and she's really progressed.
Yeah.
Because of it. But yeah, dude, it's a time suck, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so much time is devoted to this. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, well, and before we started, and that's why we decided to talk about this, I was saying to you, like, well, don't they just take the bus somewhere? Like that's because that's what it was. Like when I wrestled in 7th grade, it was we did JV meets, so it was like you knew when a meet was happening, you piled on the bus, you drove out to Cedar Woolley, you go out, you did your thing. The bus took you back to the middle school, but you are correct. Someone had to pick me up, or I walked home. Yeah. So it was usually a catch a ride with one of my friends because, and they would work it out. Like if my dad came, they would pick up like a couple of kids, whatever. They worked it out. But like, but you were saying that there's like, even like busing is not really a thing anymore.
No, there's no buses. Like not for our school. Our school is fucking poor as shit, dude. We got a real rundown, just sack of shit school.
Wow.
Near our house that my kid goes to. Both my kids go to. I actually love the school, but it really is. It's really run down.
I just remember being so fucking bored to tears sitting on a school bus when it's dark and rainy.
Yeah.
And you're riding this bus going to some shitty backwoods, small fucking Washington State town that you kind of know the names because you hear them on fucking Como News that night. Yeah. And then you get there and it's like weird smells, weird gymnasium, sometimes super low rent. And you're like, what is this? This is a dump. And then, you wrestle some kid who smells like he hasn't washed his ass and balls in days. Ugh. And caramelized onions because they're getting to the point where they're starting to get BO and they haven't gotten pit stick yet. I mean, that's what it was. And it would,
they're making the mistake that everybody our age made, and they're using Gillette gel.
Yeah, Gillette gel.
Boy, did that stuff not work.
Sucked, man.
Man, it did not work.
It ran out so quick.
So quick because you had to use so much of it.
Yeah. And like the other thing is those fucking singlets. So I remember.
Oh yeah, dude.
I remember when I got there
gross.
and I go like, okay, I show up for my first practice and they're like, go and get a singlet. They have a cardboard box with all of these balled up singlets.
Yeah.
I swear to God, from like the 70s at that time. Because then you didn't go buy your own singlet. Like you had team colored singlets. And they're like, go dig through there and find one that fits you.
Oh my God.
I was like, well, I don't even know what the fuck these
Has
things
this
are.
been washed?
Yeah, no. And then they're like, you make sure you wash your singlet every day and blah, 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 blah. Well, okay, cool. Sure. Great idea. That kid over there, we know, hasn't washed his clothes in years. So what makes you think he's going to wash his singlet, dude?
Yeah, yeah.
So you had these kids that would sweat in the shit, put it in a bag, put it in their locker.
Forget about it.
And then and the next practice puts it on. It was so fucking gross, dude.
I just remember having like gym at our school in junior high. I went to a junior high in Kingston. And we had showers there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we had to shower after that. I think it wasn't mandatory, but some kids did. But
same with our school.
Yeah, but you had to have a pair of shorts, and they had to be a certain color, and then a white T-shirt. And then we had lockers there, and then I would always forget to grab my gym stuff at the end of the week to bring it home. And so you'd start off the week with gym, and you just fucking get to that locker, and it's like, oh, there's my stuff, and it's like it's stiff, you know, like just smelly, you know, just gross. You got to put that thing on, and if you had gym in the morning, you'd kind of smell like that for the rest of the day. It's gross.
You know, the other thing we had were the headgear that you wear. I forget what they're called.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They go over your ears so you don't get cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
And same deal. They had a box of them. They're like, grab a pair of these. And they're from the 70s. And you remember those chin straps where it was back in the day where it was like a piece of leather and they were striped on the outside, and then on the inside it looked just like it was leather. Mm-hmm. And you put that on it would like go under your chin or whatever. They were so old and so used. Like, the straps were yellow. They used to be white. You know, they're cracking in yellow. The vinyl that's on these purple earmuff things on the inside, they oftentimes have vinyl tape. Like, oh, this cracked, we'll just tape it up. And I remember I was like, God, this thing's kind of gross. And you were like, this is yours this is your singlet. This is your fucking headgear for the rest of the year. And you'd get so sweaty on that thing on your chin. I get zits on my chin. Yeah. Because how many other fucking humans before me have sweated their oils into this goddamn chin strap, and now I'm wearing it.
Yeah. You were absorbing other people's fucking gross-ass chin sweat.
From decades and bygone eras.
Decades.
And you might have some Lysol spray. Spray that shit down before.
Dude, at the very least, alcohol wipe or something.
Alcohol wipe? What are you talking about? Back then?
Yeah.
They didn't have shit like that.
Oh, sure they did.
No, they gave you Lysol spray and say spray it down. It was like
different time, man.
Different time, dude.
Different time,
dude.
Yeah, but there's no like there's no money for fucking buses anymore. Like we and you know, for the most part too, and I don't know if this is different for outside of Seattle schools as well, but like most of the teams we would play, actually all of the teams we would play for the school were all Seattle schools.
Really?
So it's not like you're going super far. Like the furthest we would go would be South Seattle, West Seattle.
Are you're talking when you were in high school or in junior high?
No. For my daughter's
that's what I thought. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to like Camino Island from Lake Stevens to, like I said, Cedar Woolley, Mount Vernon. I think we went.
Now
to.
the select team stuff. That's where we're going to Yakima. We're going to Mercer Island every fucking Saturday. We're going all over the region.
Good God, man. God love you, brother. And there's this thought too, where it's like, I don't know if you get this, but like, am I a horrible parent because I'm not enjoying this? Do you ever feel like...
Oh, yeah. I'm constantly asking myself that.
Because here's the other thing. I don't have hardly any memories of my parents coming to watch me wrestle or play basketball.
Yeah.
Now, when I was doing the LSJA stuff, they had to bring me there, and they had to bring me there on the weekend and watch me or whatever. But like when I got into middle school and I was doing that shit... Mm-hmm. I think one time my mom never went, but my dad went maybe one time. I was at a wrestling tournament. Yeah. He showed up and I hated it. And my dad's not even the type of guy that would be like, what are you doing? You need to blah, blah, blah. Or you need to block this kid out or whatever. My dad would just, sit there and then I'd come over and he was like, oh, you had a nice shot there. Or yeah, you almost beat that kid. That's about it. Like there was no pressure from him, which I appreciate, but also like I almost just was like, I'd prefer you not be here because
I don't want
less people to witness me do this.
I don't want to embarrass myself in front of you. Yeah,
and it wasn't even about that. It was just I felt bad and like I don't really particularly care about this, so I don't want to waste your time. So I hope you understand that I don't care about this, and nor should you. I guess I was trying to convey that in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember most of my friends' parents.
Well, we hand it off. We kind of do a staggered kind of thing, you know.
So it'll be
and so yeah. And there's so many of these games too. It's like, okay, you gonna take her to the thing on Saturday because we've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, I saw this great fucking meme the other day on YouTube, and it was Chris Farley from the movie Black Sheep. After he falls down the hill. You remember that scene?
I've maybe seen Black Sheep like once.
He falls down like a dirt hill, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like he's, bumping. He's doing the Chris Farley thing. He's hamming it up. He's falling and falling and falling and twisting and turning and getting back up on his feet and then doing a flip back and then he lands at the end, right? And he's just all sorts of disheveled and shit, covered in dirt. His coat's all fucking jacked up and everything like that. And so the meme is it shows him like walking away from the hill, just fucking discombobulated and dirty, and his hair's all cracked out and stuff. And then the what's the word I'm looking for?
The dialogue, the meme,
dialogue,
the text.
The text up above him says like the kid coming, or the non-sport kid coming out of the woods after the sport game or his brother's sports is over or something like that, And I just have so many memories of that, like going to my cousin's baseball games.
Yeah.
And there was this hillside, like right up against this series of
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Fields, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like these hills were just torn apart because it was just kids like me that weren't playing the sports
and didn't
that
care
had
to watch
find
it.
Had to find something else to do while all this shit was going on, because these baseball games took for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And so it's like it was just like smooth fucking dirt.
Yeah.
Hillside, dude, that was almost shiny because there's so many. It was so compact.
Yeah.
Back in the woods and stuff, and oh man.
Yeah, there was nothing more miserable than me going to watch like either one of my brother's sports at that point.
Oh God! And on a rainy day,
oh God,
it was usually raining.
God.
Yeah,
yeah,
the worst.
Yeah,
but luckily we are not doing that to my other daughter. We do not force her to go to these games.
Yeah, that was I remember being bored out of my mind in a gymnasium. We had the basketball gymnasium that we used constantly in Lake Stevens, downtown Lake Stevens, North Lake School, as I think is what it was. And I remember so many fucking boring Saturdays or Sundays or whatever the fuck it was being in this. And they all had that weird smell from whatever they waxed the floor with. It's like a chemical smell.
Pine Sol?
It was something else. Whatever that coating was on that floor back then was, whew. But it was a treat to go hit the concession stand. I'm not.
Well, see, that's what I was just going to say. But I never had money for it. My parents would never give me money for it. My aunt and uncle were usually the ones that were taking me, and they never had any money for it.
First of all,
so I was like, fuck.
I'm not saying I was killing it, but usually I would get a quarter bag of popcorn for sure. Like 10 cents or 25 cents or whatever. That slim little paper bag that had that bright orange/yellow popcorn that's coming out of the... It was so salty, so good, man.
Dude, I would never get that shit.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Ugh,
got
sucked.
To. They knew. They were like, you got to sit around here and watch your dumbass little brother not make a basket for the next half hour to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Here's some popcorn.
Yeah, here's
sit
some
over
popcorn.
there. Sit over there.
Sit in the corner.
No Game Boy.
Yeah.
No fucking phones. No iPads. None of that shit. Go sit over there and fucking read the graffiti on the back of that fucking bleacher, the pull-out bleachers.
Yeah. Try to get under those bleachers.
Get under there, yeah.
Yeah, do a little exploring. A little exploration.
If you're
down
lucky.
there. If you're lucky, you find something cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, find a used condom or something.
Fucking someone dropped a Star Wars toy.
Yeah,
Fuck, there's a fucking, I found a,
There's a boss.
or there's a boss.
A free boss.
Yeah. Or just a gun.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, I found a G.I. Joe guy. I wonder who does this go to? Yeah. If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. Yeah, dude.
Fuck, man. What a miserable, what is this going to look like 30 years from now?
What do you mean?
We're
Like,
seeing innovations on how, training with sports and the facilities that they go and play at now and all this stuff. Like, what does it look like in the future, man?
I think it's going to come down to like genetic engineering.
Probably.
Like these parents who want the perfect kid and stuff, it's all going to come down to like, it's going to be kind of like a Gattaca situation. Like where you pay to, have your embryo genetically engineered, I guarantee you that's where we're
What a
going.
garbage species.
Because you can already like choose some shit about your baby before you have one.
Just a garbage species.
Oh yeah,
We are, man.
right.
All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah,
For,
yeah.
yeah.
On that note,
Yeah. Thanks for having us again. Hope you enjoyed that. Maybe we'll do it again in
shit.
another month and a half. So, Mr. Roden, thank you so much.
hey, you're welcome
for
sir.
allowing me into this wonderful Roden Family Fun Center. And yeah.
Well, we'll try to get another one because we did have another idea for a show.
We sure do.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a doozy if we can pull that one together.
Yeah, you thought this one wasn't funny.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, exactly. Hold
Next
your
one's
shit.
going to be
Hold
fucking
your shit.
downright depressing.
Yeah, for
Hold on
sure.
to your butts.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. And I'm sure I'll put some stupid piece of audio right here.
If you hit him square in the nose, he'd be blinded by his tears and choke on his own blood.